Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Matthew's Sports Talk. So, I was going to do this last night, but I kind of dozed off, so I will do it today. Lots of stuff to talk about. You know, American football, international football, the Timberwolves. So, let's get into it. Before I talk about all the action in the NFL, I have a hot take because, as most people probably know, last night the Eagles were playing the Packers, and there was a debate on Twitter amongst Vikings fans. Do you want the Packers to win in order for the Vikings to have a better shot at the 1 seed? Because if the Eagles lost last night, then both the Vikings and Eagles would be 9-2. Eagles would still hold the tiebreaker, but yeah. Or would you rather have the Eagles win to affect, all but mathematically eliminate the Packers, and means that the Vikings are just this close to clinching the division? For me, it's against my soul as a Vikings fan to cheer for the Packers. I really didn't care. If the Packers beat the Eagles, whatever. Okay, so we're tied with the Eagles. That's a big freaking whoop. And if what happened was the Eagles beat the Packers. So the Eagles went to 10-1 and the Packers are 4-8 now. So that means that the Vikings are just this close to clinching the division. So that was the big debate. So yeah. The hot take is everyone wants the Vikings to have that 1 seed and to be at home for the whole playoffs up to the Super Bowl. My hot take is the Vikings, they do not need the number 1 seed. And honest to God, I hope they don't get the number 1 seed. I'm being dead serious. And here's the reason why. With that number 1 seed, yes, you get by. But all the other teams play an extra game. So even though you can rest your players and prepare, all those other teams are playing and, game playing time and excitement. Essentially it's a do or die practice, but still. And we've looked at the past, the other number 1 seeds. I'll just go back to last year. The Packers lost to the 49ers, played terribly. And then you had the Chiefs. Then they didn't play terribly, but that was a game that was talked about as one of the best playoff games in NFL history, them and the Bills. It came down to overtime and the craziness, and having that oh wait, no, never mind. No, sorry. Kansas City didn't have the number 1 seed last year. It was the Tennessee Titans. Yeah, Tennessee lost to Cincinnati in their game. So yeah, both number 1 seeds lost last year. So are you guys telling me that you honestly think being the number 1 seed is the best spot to be in? And honest to God, really? You look at the Vikings' 2 losses this season. The one, obviously, against Dallas, don't want to talk about. Talk about the one week 2 in Philly. Yes, the scoreboard says you lost by more than, I think it was 24-7. But at the same time, in that game, Kirk threw 2 red zone interceptions. So had he not thrown those, that game either would have been a lot closer or the Vikings could have potentially won that game. So it's a loss, but obviously, it wasn't as bad as the loss against Dallas, but are you arguing with me? Honest to God, this season, I feel like the Vikings have played better on the road. And they've gotten some key road wins. They beat Buffalo. They beat Washington, who now looks like a good win. Washington won again. They're 7-5 now. So the win at Washington, I consider to be a good win. I mean, what else you got? And I'm trying to think. Sorry. Crap. Miami. I mean, yes, I understand Tua wasn't playing, but it wasn't like Miami was dead. You know, they still had Tyreek Hill and everything. So, I honestly think teams that get the number 1 seed get complacent. Like, yes, they'll still practice and still prepare, but I feel like everyone else is a little bit more prepared because they play that extra game. So, like I said, do you honestly think being the number 1 seed puts you in the best position? I don't think so. I don't think so, especially the way the NFL is going this season. You have crazy shit going on pretty much week in and week out. So are you honestly going to say to me with a straight face, you think the Vikings would want the number 1 seed? Yeah, I don't think so. I'd be okay, honest to God, if they have the number 2 seed. Because you get at least 2 home playoff games. Well, you get 1. If you win, then you get another one. Then, by some miracle, the number 1 seed loses, you host the NFC Championship game if you win the divisional round. So there you go. Like, that's what I would think I would want for the Vikings, the number 2 seed. I think it's achievable because they only have 2 losses. And honestly, God, I don't see them losing. Here's another thing. San Francisco needs to lose another game. That's the other thing. Because I don't know if we hold the tiebreaker against them. So San Francisco needs to lose 1 more game. And then the Vikings can afford to lose 2 more games this season. In the season 13-4. And then San Francisco would be right behind them at 12-5. But I honestly don't see 2 losses in the Vikings schedule for the remaining of the season. So you got the Jets this upcoming week, which I will be at the game. I mean, this new Mike White guy, he looks all right, but then again, they were playing the Bears yesterday. Let's remember that. I say W against the Jets. At Detroit. If Detroit wins this week, I can't remember who they're playing. If they win, they're playing another 4-7 team. I can't remember who it is. Anyway, if Detroit wins this week, they'll still be in it. So I would say it all depends on if Detroit wins it this week. If they do, I feel like Detroit will give us their best shot next week. I think that could be a potential loss. So that's 1. Then you got the Colts, the Fighting Saturdays. It's going to be a tough matchup, but I'm going to say the Vikings win that one. Then you got the Giants. I think the Giants are frauds. Obviously, they've been exposed the last 2 weeks, so maybe they'll still make the playoffs, but yeah, I don't think they'll be. I think we can handle Daniel Jones, so I'll say Vikings win on that one. Then you finish off the season at Green Bay and at Chicago. By the time we get to play those 2 teams, they should be mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. So they won't really care. Maybe they'll have some of their backups playing. And then, should be an easy win to close out. So I do think the Vikings have at least 1 more loss on their schedule. I personally think it's going to be against Detroit. But I could see it being against, I hope not, maybe the Jets, maybe the Colts, maybe the Giants. But yeah, so that's my personal opinion. I think the Vikings would be in a better position as the number 2 seed over the number 1 seed. So yeah, that's my hot take. So now going to the NFL games. That took longer than I thought, so I'm just going to breeze through these. Thanksgiving games, Buffalo barely beat Detroit. Good job, Buffalo. You barely beat a team that knows how to lose games. And then Dallas beat the Giants nothing surprising. I will talk about what was surprising, though. I already talked kind of about the Eagles and the Packers, so I'm just going to... Oh, but one quick note. So Aaron Rodgers, who has a broken thumb to begin with, now suffered a rib injury against the Eagles. He said in his post-game interview that as long as they're mathematically alive for getting into the playoffs, he's going to play. I'm like, dude, you're 4-8 now. You are going to have to run the table to even have a chance on getting in. And honestly, God, run the table, you're 9-8. I don't think you're getting in at 9-8. A lot of shit would have to happen if the Packers could get in at 9-8. And I'm sorry, you still have a game against Miami. So I know that's one loss. And yeah, so I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers. I think you need to start being smart and shut it down. Because look at Jordan Love. Look what he did after Rodgers got taken out last night. Oh, man. There might be something there. And then the Packers wouldn't have to waste their first-round pick next season. Just saying. So, Bengals beat the Titans. Not that surprising. I don't think... The Titans are going to make the playoffs. They're going to get booted out immediately. But the Bengals might look like a team who, they look like the team that went to the Super Bowl last season. They might even be better, even though their offensive line still is not the greatest, but remains to be seen. Where is my... Oh, yeah. The Browns beating the Buccaneers in overtime. I'm sorry, Tom Brady. That division you play in, wide open. You got the Buccaneers, who now are sitting at 5-6. You got Atlanta, who, despite losing yesterday, is 5-7. You got New Orleans. New Orleans lost, so they're 4-8. So that's only like a game and a half behind. And then you got Carolina, who won. They're 4-8. That division is... Jesus Christ. That division is so bad. Someone could go like 7-10 and win that division. How god-awful would that look for the NFL? It's just bad. Yeah. There's no team in that division that I like. Obviously, they'll get a playoff spot because you win your division, you get a playoff spot. But that doesn't mean that I have to like it. I personally would... Actually, no. Never mind. Scratch that previous statement. Sorry, I got distracted by a notification. Whoever wins that division is going to lose first round. Guaranteed, not even a question mark. That's what's going to happen. I already talked about it a little bit. Washington, good team. Beat Atlanta. They're now 7-5. They are knocking on the door of my top 10. Yeah, they're knocking on the door of my top 10 in my power rankings. They're number 11. So, I think the Vikings beating Washington was a good win. God. Yeah. The Baltimore Ravens. If you were a Baltimore Ravens fan, I would be concerned right now. Because you just lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars in a game where you were leading. And you gave them, I can't remember, I think it might have been like 3 minutes. And they go, not only do they score, they get the 2-point conversion to win the game. Yeah. I think the Bengals are going to win that division. Baltimore is going Yeah. Sorry. But if Lamar is trying to play for a contract, they're going to look at the fact of, hey, did you win us this game? Did you win us this game? And they're going to be like, no, you did not win us this game. And then he's going to argue with the fact, well, it's because my fucking defense can't stop shit. And you know what? He's right. Baltimore's defense, this is a team that historically prides itself on having strong defense. They don't have that right now. And it is a black mark on that franchise. So, yeah. That's what I'll say about that. This is taking too long. I need to breeze more through it. Chargers rallied past the Cardinals on a 2-point conversion to win it. Hey, another 2-point conversion. Raiders, the OT stunner over the Seahawks. I mean, obviously Raiders ain't going to do anything with it, but Seahawks. If you wanted to win the NFC South, the NFC South. The NFC West. This does not look good. With the way San Francisco is playing, you need to win games. Especially against teams like the Raiders. So. Oh, yeah. Russell Wilson might be on what is considered to be the worst team of his career. They lose to Carolina. And they're now 3-8. Yeah, not bad. Not pretty in Denver. Chiefs beat the Rams. Goddamn Mahomes. Should have had another touchdown throw to Travis Kelce. Instead, he throws a red zone interception. God damn it. Makes me lose fantasy points, but it doesn't matter because I'm winning by like 50, so it doesn't really matter. 49ers won again. Beat the Saints 13-0. I mean, 49ers defense, God, I would not want to play them at all. Oh, yeah, and then the Jets. Started Mike White over Zach Wilson. Yeah, beat the Bears. Big fucking whoop-de-doo. Guess what? You're coming here next weekend. Let's see how you do against the Vikings. I don't think it's going to be pretty. So, yeah. So that's the NFL Week 12 in a nutshell. My power rankings obviously are not complete because tonight you got the Colts and the Steelers on Monday Night Football. Not anything too drastic. There is a change in the top 5 because Baltimore lost, so Minnesota moves back into number 5. And you got Buffalo, San Francisco, Cincinnati, and then Baltimore drops to number 9. Outside of that, not really any big significant changes. I'll obviously let you guys know the updated power rankings later this week. So, moving on to the Wolves. Losing to the Golden State Warriors 137-114 yesterday. I mean, Edwards 26 points, Towns 21, Russell 15, Noel 16 points off the bench. No McDaniels, he had an illness, so I think it was Austin Rivers who started in place for him. Pretty much to sum it up, Golden State shot way better than the Wolves yesterday, and they out-rebounded us. Golden State had 57.5% shooting overall, and the Wolves had 44.3%. And then Golden State had 47 rebounds versus 31 for the Wolves. This, I believe, this Wolves team, I feel like, is going to be hot and cold for most of the season. They'll win a couple of games, which is hot, and then they'll lose a couple of games in a row, cold. I feel like they'll do that until they finally figure shit out, probably in like late January or early February. I do believe this is a team that will figure its shit out and hopefully make the playoffs, but it's going to be a while before they do that. So, yeah. Next game is tonight. I can't remember who it's against, but they're away. I think it's against Washington. Don't quote me on that, though. Sorry. A little World Cup update action. There was some surprises yesterday. Oh, my God. Japan losing to Costa Rica. So, and Germany still barely alive. They were able to tie up against Japan. No, not against Japan. They were able to tie up against Spain. They almost, in stoppage time, almost won. But VAR got them on an offsides. On a hairline offsides. I would have let it slide, but I ain't a soccer referee, so. So yeah, pretty much now Germany has to beat Costa Rica in order to advance, and Japan has to lose to Spain, which I think is totally possible. I don't think Japan. I think the best result Japan can hope for against Spain is a tie. If Japan beats Spain, there is something wrong in that group. There is something seriously wrong in that group if Japan beats Spain. And then the other upset of yesterday, Morocco beating Belgium. Holy shit. Yeah. So. And then going back to Saturday, Mexico lost to Argentina. Mexico's in trouble. They only have 1 point going into their final match. They're in trouble. USA ties England, so that means that USA would need to beat Iran in order to advance. And then today, just to sum it up, just to tell you what's going on, the interesting games, Brazil is playing Switzerland, and Portugal is against Uruguay. I think it's going to be Portugal and Brazil for the wins. It should be still some good games. Switzerland and Uruguay are good teams. I could see the potential of maybe a tie or maybe upsets. I love upsets. These upsets, the fact that Costa Rica over Japan is not as big of an up. Morocco over Belgium, that's a shocker. And then earlier Saudi Arabia over Argentina, that was a shocker too. So it's been a fun World Cup so far, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Okay, guys, so that concludes this episode. Monday Night Football is tonight. I would say maybe not tomorrow, Wednesday. Wednesday morning, I'll do another episode where I go over my updated NFL power rankings and then make my week 13 predictions. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I might do a Wolves post-game reaction. I won't be watching it because I unfortunately temporarily lost internet until I get paid on Wednesday, so I can't stream anything. I got my PS3 and I got movies and TV shows I can watch. So, yep, until then, okay, see you guys on Wednesday. All right, have a good one. See ya.